to help him reestablish some sort of a different, route for him to go in terms of his career and whatnot. And so I had him on my podcast, and it didn't go the way I wanted it to go.
It didn't seem to me personally that there was a bunch of reflection done.
Did you see Carlos Mencia on Bobby Lee's show? It is riveting. I called Bobby when I got done with it.
I have to say, in terms of uncomfortable podcasts I've done in my life, right? Yeah. That rivaled the Carlos Mencia one.
Ooh.
The Carlos Mencia one was, for me, very uncomfortable. So how are you feeling now with all this, the controversy that happened a decade ago? I mean, what's going on now?
14 years ago now.
14 years ago, yeah.
I realized, like, my absence from the internet in all those years allowed a narrative to be created that will never change. So my biggest regret is back in those days, when all this stuff happened, was to fight it, not fight it, but to, like, I've recorded all my shows since 1993. I don't have to fight anybody on anything. If somebody comes up to me and says, "Hey, you're doing my joke," I could easily go, "What joke is it? When did you tell it? Let me go look." And then if you did it before me, I'll stop doing it, or whatever it is. Like, I've always had that.
Yeah.
But
listen to me and look at me when I tell you this with all honesty. If you think that I steal jokes, yeah, you're right. Of course I steal jokes. Are you out of your mind? When I come to a comedy club, you better run, bitch. You better get the off stage, because if anything you say is even remotely funny, I'm gonna make it mine, and all I'm gonna do is say Mexican in the front. I'm like a rapper.
Whatever it is, and no matter what I say,
but why not?
But
Ned, why not do in the beginning just a blanket apology?
But I wasn't. See, let me get this. Understand what happened. Anytime, even to this day, bro.
Yeah.
Somebody says you stole a joke, I go, okay, well, what joke was it? Not angry. Like, what joke, dude? I write a lot.
I have seen that, but I have also seen some of your act, a little too close to things that have already been established, like the Bill Cosby bit.
Yeah, I'd never seen that one.
Speaking of stealing, did you see Carlos Mencia on Bobby Lee's show?
I did not.
It is riveting. I called Bobby when I got done with it, because I wasn't around the Comedy Store in comedy when that was going down, when you guys had that.
I saw that he was on it, and I watched like a few seconds of it, but I was like, oof.
It's pretty entertaining, because Bobby, he goes at him, man. It's like, you definitely stole some stuff, man, and like, you need to apologize for it. Carlos is like, the problem is like, I'm not on the internet. I'm not on social media really.
Of course he is.
Well, he's saying like he doesn't really have a voice on there. So
an Instagram page.
Yeah, but not, he's not doing it. He's older.
He's on it all the time. Yeah. No, I mean, he's come up with a bunch of different versions of why he is not at fault.
Mm-hmm. And Joe, I'm not defending
no,
him at all.
not.
I'm just saying it was super interesting, because I only know your version, Ari's version. Bobby Lee tells me about all these stories. I've heard all these stories. I've never had any interaction with him.
He's got a few different versions. One of his versions is, I've recorded all my shows since 1993, and if I ever stole a joke, I would go back and say, listen, I could show you that I did it before you, or if I did, I'm sorry. Like, he's trying to find a way to excuse what everybody knows he did. Mm-hmm. What he was doing was copying other people's material, copying premises, and he was doing it openly.
Could it be a case where you are absorbing, unbeknownst to your consciously doing it, unbeknownst to you, you're absorbing these things, and then kind of like, formulating a joke out of that thing that you didn't actively listen to? Could it be a case of that?
At that time, though, it's hard to believe that would have been the case at that time. First of all, at that time, during Mind and Mencia, I wasn't at the comedy clubs, like they say.
What would incentivize like a young comic, say, for instance, to say...
Oh, I was hated. Listen, I was hated.
A lot of your material, I'm not saying all of it, right? And I don't even say most of it, I mean, I think, I don't know percentage wise,
sure,
but a lot of your material was a little too similar to the ilk of Paul Mooney, or Bill Hicks, or
sure.
The Cosby thing was,
I wasn't
right. So my point, and I know my point though
yes.
being is that, to me, where there's smoke, there's fire. I don't know what the percentage of it is. Secondly, right, I was there, and I'm not saying what's wrong or right, but you would do a long time on stage, and you would bump
Yes.
a lot of these younger comics.
Yes.
And a lot of these young comics that you bumped are the big comics of today. You know what I mean? Yeah, why you're in the situation that you're in right now.
So why attack
So
me
what I'm
about
so
my
what
name?
I'm
But why
saying-
attack me about my name then?
I personally have never heard.
See, here's what I need.
But I just want to let me just finish my point
Yeah.
though. My point is that you know, if I were you,
Yeah.
all right, I would do, a blanket apology. You know what I mean?
I just don't know
and
who
move
to
on.
apologize to.
When Amy Schumer, right, apologized for stealing jokes, right? They
Right.
do a blanket apology. I'm so sorry that if I I hurt comics, not anyone specifically. I stole some jokes, and let's move on.
That's what was my next question, Ned. Was that
But she
Let's
did
move
that.
on.
But she did that on purpose.
say?
But it
I'm
was
sorry
muddled.
all
The
across
problem is what he said. It was muddled, right? It wasn't just the material thing. It's you're a fake Mexican. Your name is Ned, right? You run the light. We don't like you because you bumped me. You're doing that's so. It didn't feel like none of those attacks felt like a genuine, authentic thing.
I see what you're saying.
It feels like
It felt
you
like for
don't
you.
like me. Like, why all this shit? Like, if it's material stuff, then let's talk about
Let-
it. I went on stage to confront Joe calling me Carlos Mencia because I wanted to know what it was all about. Here's what I mean by it gets muddled, and it's difficult. And all I want is for those guys to say, look, you did this, but because trust me, comedians that have shit stolen from them, we remember what jokes those are. I can tell you all the jokes that comedians have told after me that I told them first, right? I remember those. Case in point, right? I'll give you an example. I had no problem with Ari Shaffir, right? No problem. Bobby calls me up and says, dude, Ari just beat the shit out of me. Do not put him on your show. And I immediately called my producers and said, is he booked on the show? Because if he's booked and you told him he's booked, we're not going to change it. But if he's not booked, I don't want you to book him. And they said, no, he's not booked. So I didn't put him on the show. After that, he starts saying I steal jokes. Problem with that is it gets muddled, right? Is he really pissed that he thinks I stole a joke from him? Or is it because I didn't put him on mine
I
and
think my question is more like.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no. I think my
So
question
for
is
me,
if
it's
50
hard.
Here's this new thing. I don't know if you guys heard this. He wants to build a new wall all down the California-Mexico border, like a 12-foot high brick wall. It's like 3 feet deep, so no Mexicans get in. But I'm like, dude, Arnold, who do you think's gonna build that wall?
I propose that we kick all the illegal aliens out of this country. Then we build a super fence so they can't get back in. And I went, who's gonna build it?
I went up to those people individually
Ned.
and talked to them.
Ned, I know it's muddled.
Like
okay?
with Ari,
But you're not.
I
You're
went
not,
up to him.
You're not canceled because you bumped people. Okay, you're not canceled because you changed your name. Right? There's one case in point, which is the stealing is the crux of the whole thing. Right? So what I'm saying is
Right,
that
but
I know it's muddled.
It
right?
feels
But
like
that's-
they threw a bunch of shit at the
I know,
wall.
I understand that, but all that
And that's
other
what
stuff
I
is,
believe that,
is
by the
moot.
way.
I
And
believe
that's
that
what
as well,
stuck.
and that's what stuck. But the thing that is putting you in comedy prison is the essence of the stealing. That's the real
Yes,
root of
stealing is such a huge deal for me. It's like rape.
But I know, but
No, listen to me.
Yeah.
You need to understand this.
Yeah.
And I've never said this to anybody.
Okay.
And so whenever I've heard somebody say something about stealing, I've wanted to go up to him because to me, when you take a joke that somebody's really worked hard on to create it, because it's fucking hard to write a joke that gets an applause break, that's just hard to do. That's like raping somebody. And whenever I was accused of rape, I went up to that woman and said, hey man, somebody said I raped you last night. Is that what happened? And she said, no, you didn't rape me. And what you're asking me to do is apologize to all the women I've raped. I want to, but can I meet these? Can I say I'm sorry to them in person? And every single person I call says no. Every single person I call says, no, you never took shit from me. I just know you took shit. Or I just know you said shit. You know what I'm saying?
Have you ever felt personally accosted? Was there ever a power dynamic? Because I know how much you revered Ned and how much you loved him.
Dude, when he posted that video.
Hey, I'm Bobby Lee. I've known Carlos Mencia about 11 years. I've been opening for him since the 90s. He's one of my best friends, and I've never seen him steal a joke.
Which, by the way, from my perspective, was just to show that, just to have him talk about the Ari Shaffir thing, right? Just to talk about that. Just to talk about how, dude, he got so much shit that he called me up pretty much crying and said, I got to take it down, dude. I can't deal with this. And from that moment on, I've never, ever, ever, ever said anything to him about it in a negative way.
Could there be two truths at one time, Ned? Could there be two truths? You are, to me, somebody that I idolize. You're a superstar. You're funny. You're great. But could you also have made those mistakes, and could you apologize for those mistakes?
Of course, I'm ready to apologize to the people to the people that I did this to.
Yeah.
Right. To the people that I did this to. I'm under it, no matter
sorry,
what.
Go ahead,
Can I say so? So, even here's the deal. It's like, when,
and by the way, if I raped anybody, of course I'm sorry. And I mean that as joke, like a joke thing.
Don't even put yourself in like
Yeah.
that criminal
Except-
world, because it's like, to these kids maybe, or to whoever.
Yeah, but okay, look, financially
it's not
speaking,
that big.
it is a big deal. Do you know how many?
Yes,
do you know how
yes,
many
yes.
millions of dollars this cost me? Everybody, the angry part of me wants to go to these people and say, I want all you motherfuckers to line up who say that I took something from you. Did I take millions of dollars from any of you motherfuckers? Because that's what you did to me. I got cancel cultured before cancel culture was a part. Also, they did something to me that comics up until then never done. We handled our shit together. All I ever wanted was for you to show me that it's not just hate. Basically, I get that you hate me, but do you really hate me because I steal shit? Oh, I did steal your shit? What was the joke? Oh, sorry, man. I thought it's because my name is Ned, or I was pretending to be Mexican, or all these other attacks. So all I've ever wanted was a clarity in it. Like you're saying that I did that a lot, but there's only like 2 examples of me on the internet really doing that. And one of them is the wall joke, and the other one is the Cosby joke. So for the fact that supposedly I was doing this all the time, there should be a load more people in jokes. But
I'm not okay. I'm not saying.
But I get it. Listen,
I'm not saying. Listen,
this is my last hurrah, bro. I never saw it the way I saw it.
I see a path of redemption for you. Where it starts is, like you said, individually apologizing, but doing both. Doing the blanket statement anyways, whether you think it's genuine or not, how it lands on people is we can't control that.
Yeah, I don't have control over that. Like I said, I've called individuals to apologize. I've called them to say, sorry I bumped you, sorry I did that. You know what I mean? The Caparillos of the world.
Did Carlos did that for you when he stole your jokes?
Dude, I don't steal. I borrow without asking.
Anyway, the problem with Carlos is that you didn't want to do your good shit around him.
I know.
So it's like you ended up doing like crowd work or something, and the energy would just dump.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, I used to follow Carlos all the time, and
Yeah.
like people just don't want to get yelled at. You know,
Yeah,
here's the thing about
okay.
Carlos, and I've talked about this on other things. I know he's doing like a tour of apology. Anytime he wants to come on my podcast, I'd love to have a fucking talk with him.
this is how, because we have to close out because the ghost is up, and when that ghost is up, we close out. So this is how I genuinely feel about you. Okay, you obviously, I've said this. You're monumental help in my career, and I really thank you for all the things that you've done. Now, just take it. Don't.
Do you want me to
answer
tell
back.
you why I did it? So
No,
you
no,
really know?
let me just finish my blanket statement. I really believe that you're one of the best performers I've ever seen. I believe that, there are certain things that you didn't consciously or unconsciously do, but I think that there were some, elements of your act that were, too similar to other people's acts. And regardless if you're conscious about it or not, it is what it is, like the Bill Cosby joke. That joke was Bill Cosby's, on, Bill Cosby himself, which is Bill Cosby's special, is like the White Album. It's like one of the most famous specials out there. You did a bit that was a little too similar to that bit.
Right.
And it's, you know, for me, unarguable, you know, it's unarguable to me, you know. By having you on, I was really nervous about it, you know. And I just feel like, you know, we're just at a point where it might be a situation where it might be, you know, unfixable, which is a sad thing. You know, I think you've been in prison for way too long.
That's why it's difficult, because it's coming from somewhere else.
Yeah.
As well. But if you loved me or you thought I was great and this tarnished it because you feel like I did it, I'm sorry that I made you go through that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry that was the case. I'm really thankful that this shit happened to me and not some other comic, because I really believe that some other comic would have probably committed or done some really fucked up shit with what happened to me. I always understood why you did what you did and the perspective that you came from. I was never, ever hurt. That's not true. I was never offended, nor did I ever not understand why you chose to do what you do. My only issue with you was always, you've seen me create 20 minutes out of nothing more than once.
Mm-hmm.
It has bothered me, or sometimes, that you can see that and know that that's what I do, and then over here think that I literally lifted a bit from an iconic thing that never made sense to me. I don't understand why those two can exist in the same world in your head.
Could it be that he believes both? That you are an amazing
I do
writer?
believe both. I believe both.
Interesting.
Yeah, I believe both, and I believe both can exist.
Both can exist, but I've never held it against you.
Yeah.
You have always and will always be. Listen, I don't think you should air this, but I'm in a vulnerable place. You know that I have some family and some friends. I've stopped some of my good friends from doing some shit to people that talk shit about me. Even that was easy and not easy.
Mm-hmm.
Part of me wanted to say, just don't tell me.
Yeah.
Don't tell me what you're going to do. I don't want to know about it.
Yeah, yeah.
But if that's what you feel like you got to do, go do it.
Yeah, yeah.
You know how hard it is to pretend? Oh, man, it ain't shit, dude. What are you talking about? Stop that. Nah, man, I'm good. I'm doing great. We're sold out this weekend, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? It's not. It is.
Well, let's end it on a lighter note. I'm glad that you and I both have a pandemic body.
But I love you, dude.
I mean, look at our bodies. Look at our bodies.
But I just want you to understand that, like, that's real shit, dude. People don't see that. People don't know that.
Yeah.
People think, you know what I'm saying? So
anyway,
I was just being real with you, and then it goes away.
Yeah,
dude.
yeah,
and then
it
it's
got
like
dark.
gone. It got
got too dark for Papa.
No, don't get.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I told you, you might not want to air it. I'm just saying.
Yeah.